Hi friends, I Robinson. Welcome to our YouTube channel Star Science Robinson. Let's get into topic. Oral cavity. The oral cavity can be also called as mouth. Now, if you see in our topic today, we are going to deal with oral cavity. What is oral cavity and what is the structure of oral cavity and what are the functions of oral cavity and parts of oral cavity. We'll go step by step in a diagram. So now I am going with a diagram of oral cavity. First we will go with a upper lip, at the same time the lower lip. So now you just remember we are going with the structure of oral cavity, and you have to remember about the parts of the oral cavity. Now I just draw this diagram. After that, let's go in detail of different parts of our oral cavity. The oral cavity, it is lined throughout with mucous membrane, which is consisting of stratified squamous epithelial, and it is also containing small mucus secreting glands. And now I am going with a diagram of oral cavity. I will show you the different parts of our oral cavity. Now this is the structure of teeth. So when we're going with the structure of teeth, just I want to show you all the parts which is being present in oral cavity. So after the structure of teeth, let's move on to our tongue. So I just want to show you the ventral root of our tongue or ventral part of our tongue. So because we have to see about the lingual, to show the lingual frenulum or lingual frenulum fold of mucous membrane that located under the center portion of the tongue. And if you see, the lingual frenulum helps to anchor your tongue in your mouth, so it also works to stabilize the movement of the tongue. And now this is a palatine tonsils. So about palatine tonsils we have already made a video, just go through it for details of palatine tonsils. And next, if you see about the lower labial frenulum, which is being anchored between in center of our gum, that is called as gingiva, and lower part of lip. And now I'm showing you about the upper labial part of our frenulum, which is anchored between the central portions of our gingiva and inner part of the upper lip. So after this we'll go with different parts of our oral cavity line by line. So first of all we'll see about the first outer covering of our oral cavity. So this is called as lower lip. So after lower lip we will go with the upper lip. So this portion it is called as upper lip. Next we'll go into detail of next part of our oral cavity, that is vestibule. The vestibule is nothing but you have to remember about the place between your lip and your teeth. So that is the space where you will be called as a vestibule, and there are two cavities in our oral cavity, so that is vestibular cavity and oral cavity. Next we move on to next phase of our part. So this is called as a inferior labial frenulum. In between gingiva and inner lips, it present in center as a fold. So that is the work. And next, if you see about the upper portion, where it is also called as superior labial frenulum. So it is being present in a vestibule of upper part of our oral cavity and inferior part of our oral cavity. So they are superior and inferior labial frenulum. So next part, it is the upper set of our tooth or teeth. So we can see the upper portions of teeth, and now we will go for the so lower part of our teeth or tooth. So this also will be situated in our oral cavity. And now if you see in detail, as I'm showing you right now, this is the places where it is called as a gingiva, or it is also called as a gum. So and we'll see detail about this gingiva and tooth structure. So at present you just think about this as a gingiva. And now I'm showing you, so salivary duct orifice. So just remember this name. So this is also part of our oral cavity, and where you will get a saliva for the digestion of the food. So next you have to remember about this particular phase, as I already explained about this part, and this is in ventral root of our tongue, which is called as lingual frenulum. So we have a superior frenulum and inferior frenulum, and now under the tongue you have a lingual frenulum, which is anchor to our movement of our tongue. And now we can see this is a tongue, and as I have given the name, and this is the parts of our oral cavity. And now I'm naming this as also called as uvula, so which is been from the soft palate and down into our oral cavity and superiorly. And now I'm showing you, this is called as a soft palate, and after soft palate, which is being present in posterior portions of our oral cavity. And next we'll move on to the anterior part of our oral cavity. So that is called as hard palate. So the hard palate is present in anterior portions of our oral cavity. Next, if you see, I have given a certain lines, so where it is called as transverse palatine folds. We can see in hard palate, in transversely we can see certain folds, which is called as transverse palatine fold. And next we can see a line from the transverse palatine fold, that is from hard palate to the soft, so it is called as a palatine and raphe. So this is once again the line which is from your hard palate to the soft from the transverse palatine fold, so which is called as so palatine and raphe. So next we will move on to the next part of our lesson. So this is called as a anterior pillar, so which is called as so palatoglossal arch. So this is anteriorly present, so it is called as a anterior pillar, so that is palatoglossal arch. So now we are seeing about the posterior part, so it is called as posterior pillar, so where it is also have named as a palatopharyngeal arch. So now I'm showing you about the palatine tonsils, which is being situated either side of our oral cavity. And we can move on to the next part of our lesson, where I am going with, which is also called as a Oro Pharynx. So that is posteriorly present in our oral cavity. There are two types of cavities in our oral cavity. One, it is called as oral cavity proper, so which I'm showing right now, and we have that oral cavity in between of our teeth and innermost part, it is called oral cavity. So next, if you see in between of our cheeks, in between of our cheek and our teeth, it is called as the second oral cavity, that is called as vestibular cavity. So vestibular cavity, so now I'm showing you where the vestibular cavity are present, so that is between of our buccal and to our teeth, which is called as vestibule cavity. So vestibular cavity, so there are two cavities, oral cavity and vestibular cavity. You have a mucous membrane. So first we can see the large portions of mucous membrane which has been covered in our oral cavity. It is called as a lining mucosa. It is around 60%. It's been present all over vestibule cavity, all over the inner portion of our cheeks, and all over it is been present. So it is around 60%. And next we are seeing about the specialized mucosa, which is around 15%, which is being present on the dorsal parts of our tongue. So next we can see the third type of our mucus, and that is called as masticatory mucosa, which is around 25%, which is being present on our hard palate, that is the superior portions of our oral cavity. So altogether three types, which is called as a lining mucosa, specialized mucosa, masticatory mucosa. And then we'll move on to the location of our oral cavity. So we can see about the anteriorly, it is been present with the lips. So anteriorly we can see the lip is present, and posteriorly you can see a oropharynx. So laterally we can see muscles of cheeks, and superiorly we can see hard palate, and it is around 2/3, and we can see 1/3 of a soft palate. So we can see in superiorly, that is hard palate and soft palate, and inferiorly if you go through, it is a muzzle of tongue. So almost inferiorly we can see the tongue. So this is the location of our oral cavity. So I hope this is useful for you. There are three types of mucous membrane, that is, one is called as lining mucosa, second it is called as masticatory mucosa, third it is called as a specialized mucosa. There are two cavities, which is called as a oral cavity proper, and second it is called as a vestibular cavity. Thank you friends for watching this video. It's Star Science Robinson. Thank you.